Welcome my friends, this is Maniacal Incorporated, and today I am escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by high fuel prices. Space. This is Space Drilling Station, which was released just a few days ago on the 20th of April. A big thank you to the publishers for sending me on a key to check this out. And as you can see in the bottom left hand corner, on the manager's leaderboard, I am just approaching $3 million in exports of Draxon from my space drilling station. So instead of showing you this game from the very beginning, I'm sure there's plenty of videos that you can find going over the very start of the tutorial, I want to show you what a base looks like that's approaching $3 million in sales. So here we are on day 76. I've unlocked, as far as I know, all of the various different resources and all of the different tabs. I'm still actually in the tutorial, and the tutorial is fairly lengthy. I think this is about 7.5 hours of gameplay, and the tutorial is still ongoing. At the time of making this video, less than 0.5% of people have completed the tutorial, so the tutorial is quite hefty. Now, when you start day 1, you will have absolutely nothing on the ground floor, on floor 1, and you will have access up to 3 floors. And you can build straight up if you want to, but I'm filling out the floors as I go up, so I have made it all the ways up onto nothing on floor 7. Here is floor 6. So we have our ground floor here. I filled this out with bedrooms. There's a toilet, there's another bedroom. We have our facilities which keep the oxygen, the water, and the electricity going. And basically what you're going to be doing is filling out this base and building to mine Draxon. Draxon is the resource that everyone is desperate for. There is a fuel crisis on Earth, my god. How novel. That's never going to happen. That's a totally fictional scenario. There's an oil crisis or a fuel crisis on Earth, and we're exporting Draxon, which comes up out of these pumps. Now, we didn't place these pumps or anything. This is our kind of home network, which we can actually see on our production network. So there's the main network. We can attach 3 refineries to it, and it gives us 67% Draxon, it gives us 30% polymer, and 3% copper. And what we can then do is put down some mining facilities or some refineries. So I have a few here on the 2nd floor. And we can have it produce Draxon, we can have it produce polymer, we could have it produce copper, we could have it produce silicone or compressed Draxon. Now this is connected to the main network. And here again is the composition of what the main network is giving this refinery. So I wouldn't be able to make silicone here. Instead, on a higher up level, I think it's maybe this one. These buildings actually go across 2 levels. So here is the bottom of the building, and here is, if we can find it, actually, here it is on level 2, and here it is again on level 3. So here is the 2nd floor of these buildings. So you have to keep the floor above them clean. This has been moved on to network 1, which is bringing in some silicone. So that's why we're producing silicone here. Polymer is basically the building block of every single thing. So if I want to build something as simple as an advanced bedroom, we need 2.8 polymer, which I don't have at the moment. So polymer goes into almost everything. And I am, as you can see, running into a bit of a supply issue at the moment. So what we can do is, we have our home network, our main network, and that's connected up to 3 refineries. I've more refineries built, and this is something that you won't unlock for a couple of hours into the tutorial. Here's the planetary view, and what we're able to do is, in the radius, which is determined by these radio towers that I've put down. Let's see where we are. Here is one of our drones that we've sent out, and it's scouted all of this area, and it has found other areas that will send supplies, or that we can send supplies back to our home base. So here's our home base, here's some of our competitors' bases, and here I have put down, I suppose we'll show over here actually, I've put down a reservoir. I have put down, so there's the raw product warehouse, there's the drilling well, and there is a windmill providing electricity. So this is picking up 34% silicone, 38% copper, 27% polymer, and then I have a tanker, might be this one. We can check logistics. We have a tanker that's coming out and that's picking up the resources from here and bringing them back to the base and injecting them in, and then we can connect up refineries to them. So what I could also do is I could actually have the transport drone visit here and then visit another one, and that would change the overall composition of what we're bringing back to the base. So maybe I have 3 refineries and I desperately want them to have Draxon, polymer, copper, and silicone. Well, then I could actually have it pick up from an area that has a lot of, maybe one of the ones up here, that has a lot of Draxon, which is the kind of the main money-making resource. Draxon, look at this for a lovely area of Draxon. That's the stuff that gets turned into fuel and sold on the market. Most of the other stuff then is a resource that you need for building your base or building more advanced forms of containers for Draxon. But another thing we could do is if I wanted a lot more silicone, I don't think I can actually do it here. If I wanted a lot more silicone, then polymer, we could maybe take from down here and here. These two have a lot of silicone in them, so on average they're going to, I think, push up the amount of silicone that would be in the slop that we bring back. And we also have waste that is of absolutely no good, but that can be used again to kind of dilute the final mixture. So you will spend a small bit of time here on this screen. I'm going to pick one of the drones that I made and I'm going to send him down in this direction. And we can unpause and off he goes very, very slowly, discovering more areas, scanning the map for more areas that we might want to expand into. But you can have 3 refineries attached to, if we go back to our station, we can see actually here is one of them. Here's an injection pump. So this is bringing back the fuel from the silicone area, or the slop from the silicone area that I just showed you. Now it's not bringing back a whole heap, and the refineries there, you can see there's an overflow, which means an underflow. So this is the, it's actually this one. So Polydrax is just pure polymer and Draxon, and then Network 1 just has 1 refinery attached to it at the moment. I'm not bringing back enough stuff to keep 2 refineries going, so that is something that I need to kind of look into. We have people wandering around with exclamation marks over their head. Oh no, that is generally food. I've been having some problems. With food, which I'm gonna actually try and solve here today. But our big goals are level up your station to level 4. Now to do that I need to get to position 10 on the rankings. I'm currently 16th and not moving up very far from there because, yeah, things have not been going great. We have our daily export, so every day these devils they're demanding 57,000 resources from us, and we can give them anything that they will take. So here is our station. Here's how it's telling us how we get on to level 4. Here's the delivery and the market. So here's the prices that they'll pay for everything. There's Draxon at its very base level, compressed Draxon, which is just Draxon in a can, and then fuel cells. Look at this for money, but that again requires a lot of convoluted parts. There's enriched Draxon, which I haven't gotten onto yet, and heavy fuel cells. And what I'm doing at the moment is just covering expenses and limit to objective. So even though we have 108,000 ready to go, I'm just going to sell the 57,000 and keep the rest in reserve just in case something goes badly wrong and we aren't able to meet our goals on the next day. The pub, absolutely full to the brim with beer. So much beer that we can't drink it all. Indeed, so much beer that we're in a position to start selling it. The other thing we can do is take these contracts. Every once in a while, people will demand stuff. So here's modular frames. Somebody's willing to give me a big chunk of money, which I don't really need, because I have a ton of it. But they want 50 modular frames. I have 80. I'm going to accept that contract. I'm also going to accept this contract for the fruit, because we have a ton of fruit. Not cancel a contract. No, this one. There we go. Got confused. And then Steven shows up to tell us that our ranking, our reputation has improved. That's not our ranking, that's our reputation. He's back again. What does he have to say to us now? So we've shipped more stuff. And every once in a while they'll demand beer. So that's fantastic, because we have a ton of beer. Now, like I said, we're in some problems at the moment with our food supply. The reason for this is that down here on the bottom floor we have our 2 cafeteria. We have 2 chefs working in each one. And we're telling them to produce an unlimited amount of cooked meals and advanced cooked meals. And then we're looking at all the resources that they have here. So we have pretty much, I'd say we have enough for meals. So we have some rations just in case things go wrong. Now, what are cooked meals? Cooked meals are made from food rations. And then the advanced cooked meals are made from 3 different ingredients. Actually, we went to the right floor. Here is floor 3, and every, I think it's 25 days, it's making some cereal, it's making some spirulina, more spirulina, and some vegetables, and we have another one here, and then way up on the top, we have 2 more, because I haven't started running out of stuff. If we go to our station, we can come to our storage facility, so we can see that we have 1,187 spirulina. Yet we've 86 rations, we've only 18 meals, 18, I think that's cooked meals, and then 15 advanced meals. So this would be, in Dwarf Fortress, this would be absolutely terrible. 744 strawberries, way too many of the things. So our problem is our logistics. This is way up on floor 6. Our food is way down on floor 1. And the game handles logistics in a rather interesting way. It has a logistics tab. So at the moment, there's the Drax line, there's compressed Draxin, empty cans, there's our G Fuel line, and there's the You Can't Be Cereal line. Now, it's not actually doing anything up here. And if we go to... So it's coming in here, it's picking up all of this stuff on floor 3. And when I say it's also picking up from another one that we have on floor 2, and then bringing them down to floor 1 and dropping them off in the 2 cafeteria. And when I say it's, I'm talking about the 2 poor handlers. So you actually have to employ handlers, but you also have to set up the logistic lines. You can't simply just tell them, do as you will. You actually have to set up lines for them. Now that can become rather convoluted. I didn't gain access to this new building until just a few moments ago. So again, this is going to be many hours into your playthrough. Automated storage. So we're way up here on level 6. We're way up here on level 6. I'm wondering if I can do this. Let's see if we can do this. And what I'm going to do is come to our logistics. I'm going to say, you can't be cereal. We hover over the greenhouse. We're going to take resources. We're going to take cereal. We're going to take fruit. I don't think there is any fruit here, but we'll just take everything. We come to the other warehouse, and we again have to stipulate everything that we want to take. And then we come down to our automated storage, and we're going to place cereal. We're going to place... Where is it? Fruit. We're going to place... We're going to drop off... What else have we? I don't even know. This, and we're going to drop off vegetables. So, that's now part of the You Can't Be Cereal line. And what we can now do is come down to the bottom. Logistics. So they're still taking from here and taking it down the stairs. What I'm now going to do is give them another order, which is to take resources from the automated storage on floor 2. So they're putting it in on floor 6, and then in a kind of an NO 117 or NO 1800 style, all of these automated storages are effectively connected together. So the food is going to be automatically transported down. Now the only problem is I've been playing for close to 8 hours, I've built up 6 levels of this place, and then I gain access to the automated storage. We're going to take cereal, we're going to take... Oh, we have to go way down here. We're going to take... Spirulina, we're going to take... vegetables. And then we're going to hope that that works. Now I've left the fruit there because the fruit is not part of the cooked meals. The fruit is part of the drinks process. And we actually have a problem over here in this greenhouse, which is that storage is at full capacity. Why? Because it is full of fruit. So no food is getting made here. I'm actually going to... Oh, that's all it's making is fruit. So this was basically supplying our pub. So we have a ton of spirulina. I think we can do with fruit, we can do with cereal, and we can do with... Did I just put more fruit back? Vegetables. So there's maybe a small bit of work to be done in kind of explaining what the exact process is for, like, how many of each thing you need. I'm not entirely sure. I'm not seeing any storage here. I'm not seeing anything actually here at the moment. It is saying there is a connected block. I might need to apply more people to that line. So we can come in here and we can hire Preston Dawson. We'll hire them. But generally how you would end up, they all seem to be on the night shift. So, or they all seem to be on the day shift. So we'll put Preston working at night. And how you can, what you would mostly do, so it's an interesting method. You would come in here to your job applications. You can see their rank, and they will demand different types of bedrooms. So the rank 2 and lower will sleep in normal bedrooms, which can house 8 people. And then the 3 and higher want the advanced, which can house 4 people. So this person will work as a researcher. This person will work as a bartender. We have an assembly line. We have somebody who can do refining and medic. So you don't actually hire dedicated medics. You have other staff who will take on the medic role if somebody gets injured. We have a farmer. We have maintenance agents. So they just kind of wander around and maintain things. And there's our farmers. So you'd hire them here, and then they would appear over on this side. So Preston, for example, assign employee to a block. I thought we had you assigned, Preston. So you can't be serial line. So this is how you would hire. This is how you'd hire people, and then you would need to come over here once they appear and assign them to various different positions. So he's actually flying in at the moment. I believe this is how long it is until Preston arrives, and he's going to arrive here in the storage bay. He's going to be dropped off in the storage bay. This place has plenty of rations, but nobody's actually bringing it to the cafeteria. So what I should probably look into doing at this stage, and I've been playing this over on Twitch, so this is how I've gotten this far, but what I might want to do, there's Preston's shuttle, I think, maybe. What I might want to do at some stage is work on possibly bringing all of the food growing areas, the greenhouses, up onto the same floor. I get them all up onto the same floor, and get them dumping stuff into the storage. So there we go, there is some stuff, and I think, oh yeah, they're only taking 10 at a time. So the logistics is an interesting one. It's handling logistics in an interesting way. I think that's all they can take. I think you can improve handling at a different time. It's placing. So if I put this up I'll put that fruit up for the fun of it. Will they start? Is that how you determine that they take more? But they're going to start dropping that there. And hopefully we're going to start to see, like I said, the bottom of the line then taking from the storage, taking it down the stairs, taking it to the cafeterias, and getting some food built or food made, because we have had people leave. We have had people leave. Not happy with not having a ton of food. So for a game that's quite heavily involved in logistics, like I said, you don't really get many logistics options until quite late. The technology tree also doesn't open up for maybe an hour or so into the game, and you're given various different advancements that you need to meet to actually get on to the next level. So if I want to get on to level 4, I need to reach 10th place in the rankings, and that is achieved by exporting more and more and more Draxen. Now, every single day, the amount of Draxen that you are required to send to the OSRE is increases. So I think you start off at like 1,000 or 3,000 or something like that. It's going up every single day. So you need to send more and more and more stuff. And you can send 1.5 times the requirement or 2 times the requirement, and you'll get rewards if you send a good chunk. So here we have our research tree, and there's our automated storage way down on level 3. I'm trying to get to level 4, so we need to get up to 10th place, and then we're going to get advanced raw product warehousing, geothermal electric generation, raw product processing. And we have an enrichment unit for producing enriched Draxen, so that's going to be worth more money or hopefully require less resources. And then way up on level 5, it won't let me see. Oh, we can't, it's down here at the very bottom, it's locked, it's invisible. And we also have superior rooms, which might be needed for the very highest ranking staff, maybe the ones that have stayed with us for the longer, more cafeteria. So yeah, for a game that involves a lot of logistics and a lot of making compressed Draxen, what I'm going to do, here actually is our cafeteria with 399 drinks in there. There's morale, there's 40 seats. We have 101 people. So, if we come up onto level 6, we don't have enough room for another one. We could do some stuff to try and get that, but what I'm going to do instead is come up onto level 7. We'll go to construction. So we have our staff rooms. There's the bathroom, cafeteria, and medical center, and there is the break room. We need 7 polymer, and we do not have it. We have 2.2. It's going to take us a while to get that. I'm going to make sure that every place is producing polymer, every place that can produce polymer. Here's our printing facility, which produces the reinforced containers that are needed for out of polymer, that are needed for the compressed Draxen. They make a limited amount of components, which are required for something. Optics, which I think I needed for the tankers and the drones that travel around the planet and look at things. And repair kits, so they're just keeping a limited number of those in supply. And if we come up and look at this refinery, so it's telling us that the storage is full. It's entirely possible that we don't have anyone on this line. Yeah, so the Drax line, we need to take the resource. We need to take, at the very least, the Draxen. And here we need to take Draxen. This isn't producing Draxen. This is copper and silicone. This is Draxen. So it doesn't make a difference that this one's been connected because nobody's going to be able to get in here. But what we can do is just X. So this place has produced a bit of silicone, but it's not being used for a whole heap. The only problem is that nobody is then actually... They don't really have room for producing a huge amount of polymer, so that might be holding things up. This place isn't producing any polymer. So what we can do is hire more people to the Drax line. It would be handy to have some info. This person, so you can see they cost a lot more, but they also have the medic skill, so we'll hire them. And they are... I think this was my mistake, is I didn't select them. Oh, I didn't click apply probably, but they're now applied to that line. When they actually arrive, whenever that's going to be. If we come up another line, so these are the tops of the two stations we were just looking at. And if we come up again, we should have a few more up here. So a good chunk of Draxon, a good chunk, no Draxon, but it has compressed Draxon. So again, our logistics. I will get them to take compressed Draxon and take... maybe they're not producing any of the normal stuff. It's entirely possible. And they're on Draxon and compressed Draxon. Whoops. Edit. What's it after telling me? The resource compressed Draxon is taken but never dropped off. Add a drop point. That doesn't seem to make a whole heap of sense, because this is the Drax line. And that most certainly... that is interesting. Well, that is interesting. So, the workforce themselves will, from time to time, they will pick up resources about the base. So what's been happening until now is that the chefs have been picking up the food that they need, but very, very slowly. And the people working in these facilities have been taking the Draxon and the compressed Draxon themselves to the storage facility. The logistics line is an interesting one. The entire logistics section is an interesting one. Now, let's see if we can get the polymer together to do something. Right, I have just gotten enough polymer, just barely, together to build another break room. So I'm coming up onto floor 7 and I'm going to put this down. So we have an entryway that's blocked off at the moment. Now, one of the rather interesting things here is that you can't build corridors, multiple corridors off of the stairs. You could build multiple stairs, I didn't actually really think about that, but at the moment you can't build multiple corridors. And what I mean by that is if we put a corridor coming up in this direction, I then can't have one coming out this way. That's just a small bit of an issue. We will need to kind of think about where we want to place this. If I put it here, yeah, it's probably for the best. So we'll put that there. And then we will need to link up with some corridors. So I'll actually have to kind of snake up in this direction and probably around if we want to, or up this way if we want to build anything else. And I've sped the game up massively. Now we're being told that there's no O2 available. Oh no, but we have O2. What's wrong? Well, we just need to... What I find easiest is to just move the block, put the block back. Well, there we go. And our bar finishes production. It connects up to the whole shebang. And what we can do is maybe, just maybe, take a look at our storage. So I'm putting stuff in here. Right. Okay, so this is a bit of an issue. And what we're going to have to do is come to the logistics, you can't be serial, and we're going to have to put this, we're going to have to drop it down. We can drop it down to 5, we can drop it down to infinite. So an infinite amount of stuff in these storage facilities. Okay, so it's going to drop an infinite amount of stuff in there, and it's actually worth checking. So it's only dropping off 10 at a time. I won't say it's dropping off 10 at a time, but it's going to stop if there's more than 10 there. Okay, so this, as you can see, was maybe not fully explained in the logistics tutorial, which just dealt with with getting stuff from your refineries to the little out bay. But we're up on to the top level, and what I'm going to do is to the you can't be cereal. We're going to have them. It's going to be a big rigmarole of a roundabout. I'm going to have them place the resource fruit. And again, we're going to put that, we'll put that to like 50. So we now have this logistics chain dealing just with food across the entire base. Look at this. I came to show you what it's like having nearly $3 million, and I'm learning stuff myself. So back up onto level 7. We can, before we X out of that, we will hire, because this is becoming a very advanced chain right now. We're going to put those two in. We'll put somebody's on. There we go. We have 2 on the night shift. Apply. And X out. Click on our bar. And we have our add employee. No employees are available. So we come to our staff. And we can see that at the moment, yeah, absolutely. We've nobody wants to work in a bar in space. And look at this, as we begin sorting out our logistics lines, finally. Nova Investment tells us that the station with the best progress is Maniacal Inc. We are the best of the worst performing stations. Yeah, we've been spending a lot of time down around this end of the leaderboard. With mixed results, your reputation remains unchanged. That's good, because usually I get -2 of a penalty here. If we can, so at the moment we're in this section, which means we get development aid. Operation costs are reduced by 10%. I don't care. Down at the very bottom, we would get superior development aid. We are actually, because of the very awkward position that we're in, getting the small station aid. So the price of imports is reduced, and we're getting that, and then way up at the top we get some other bonuses and benefits. The game automatically imports as much rations as are needed for food, so the rations that are needed for the basic meals, which I might actually want to. We're going to have to augment our logistics line a small bit. We come to the staff tab again. We can update the candidate list, and actually this is something that I unlocked. Let's go look for bartenders. So this was a technology that was unlocked. We have our tech tree, which I showed off already. I have researched everything. I've researched everything across all the levels, but you basically pay and it takes a certain amount of time, or you don't pay. You just research and it takes a certain amount of time. And I have 2 research facilities going, and at the moment they're not doing a whole heap. So here is our... I've been building piece by piece as stuff becomes available, and I am thinking of maybe trying to get all the refineries on one level. Like I said, maybe get all of these so they can be moved for free. You can move block and you can move it up and down to your heart's content. Here's our research lab, and they're doing nothing. This lad is coming in, he's just sitting there. He's just sitting there. She's happy out, she's doing nothing. Everything's fine, she's in good shape, fair play. Oh, there's 2 of them. Absolutely nothing to do. Now we've just lost a rank randomly. So we've gone from 15th down to 16th, where I've spent most of my time. Since the start of this video, the amount of Draxon that's required, or the amount of goods that are required to be exported, has gone up to 62,000 from about 57, I think, at the start. So that's going to keep going up as time goes on. And we're now finally in a position to come to the break room. We've gotten some new staff options. So there is Julia, and we should check first of all. We have accommodation, so we have 6 of the normal and 2 of the level 2 accommodation available. So Sylvian is a printer. Braden is a bartender and medic. You'd want to be. So I don't think we have any high level bartenders. Anybody that has, we'll say, level 3. Caitlin has a level 1 and will sleep anywhere. She's delighted. So there isn't a whole heap of a difference in the price. 904 again because of the medic skill. I don't think we need a medic. So we'll get these 2 because I know that we have a night shift and a day shift. They work 12 hours a day. Hell's bells. So we can put them on the break room and we can put them on the break room. So we now have, there's our day shift, there is our night shift. And we can, if we wanted to, move them around. There is actually a Twitch integration that I only just discovered, so I'm going to turn that on for the next time that I'm streaming this on Twitch, so that people will show up. People from chat will show up, and we can hire them, and they can quit, because I don't provide enough food for anyone. And here we go. We have a bartender. They're going around, they're cleaning all the tables, looking for euro coins that might have fallen down the back of the couches, but they're not making beer, which is one of the most important jobs of a bartender. And the reason for this is because we have drink, it requires 1 fruit, we have 50 fruit in storage, brought up from the You Can't Be Cereal line, but we haven't begun production. There we go. So what the hell is that? 238 beers a day? Is that what you're saying? Mother of God. So we're getting chunky beers put together, 71% efficiency. I think that has to do with their competence. I see that number mostly around the place, so I'm not entirely sure what needs to be done. Employees can go and pick up what they need to work. So if they don't have fruit, they will go and they will look for fruit. They will go fruit hunting. So there is our worker making beer by just pulling random bottles off the shelf. That's how you make beer. That's how it's done. So they're nearly getting a chunk of beers together out of fruit, out of strawberries, and then when the workers are off work, they'll come up here. And we could turn that off if we wanted to. It's the same. You might have seen me do that. There's our daily export met. And at the end of each week, it tells us whether we go up or down a level. So we can turn on or off copper. We can turn on or off silicone. We could turn off polymer if we wanted to, but this has a very high level of Draxon and very high level of polymer, and that's actually going to impact the rate at which this stuff gets made as well. So we had, when you start off, your very first line is going to have a lot of Draxon, a good chunk of polymer, very little copper, and you're going to have to build some things out of copper. And you're going to see that when these guys start working, that this is going to move very quickly on the Draxon, very quickly on the polymer, and it is going to crawl, absolutely crawl on the copper. So the higher the percentage of what it is that you're trying to make or extract that is in the slop that is in the network, the better. So that is why we went out and we found some, one of the first things that you'll be told to do on the planetary system is to go and find a place with much higher quantities of copper. So I think this was the one that I found, but I've then switched over to here. So again, the same with these buildings, you can just pick them up and move them without penalty, and move them around. And we're now bringing back, I have a dedicated place that's pretty much just making silicone and copper. So this has been a look at a later stage base, not a late stage, but a later stage base in Space Drilling Station. The core loop of the game is getting your refineries up and running on the home network, on the main network that you start on. Getting the facilities supplied for the staff that are going to staff them. So getting beds, getting toiletries, and getting food and a cafeteria, and that requires then building areas that can supply them with food. Making sure that you have enough oxygen, water, and electricity. And then getting into more and more complex chains, which require more and more advanced buildings, like the 3D printer. And then up here we have a basic assembly line, which uses many of the components from the 3D printer to make the fuel cells. This is also where we're going to get the heavy fuel cells made once we get that research done. And basically unlocking, using the research to unlock more and more advanced chains, more advanced products that can be sold to keep meeting the demands of the OSRE. I've been having a lot of fun with this. I did hit a bit of a roadblock in the middle, where we'd expanded a good chunk, brought in a lot of refineries, and I suppose I didn't fully understand or realise just how important sorting out the logistics chains manually with those hiring teamsters, putting together these lines. There's probably a good few more that I could put together. We now have a couple of advanced ones, so that is fairly important. It does kind of turn into a bit of a puzzler halfway through, where you might want to start moving rooms around, getting them all on the same floor. So we have a 3D printer here, we have one a floor below, we have some accommodation. I think that's the medic's quarters. Nope, that's another bedroom. And then we have oxygen and electricity and water generators thrown around the place. So, over on Twitch, I might spend some time actually reorganizing the entire base, try and get the refineries onto the same level, try and get the 3D printers onto the same level, maybe even get all of the water and electricity and oxygen onto the same level. So if you want to see more of this, maybe even if you want to see yourself in the game, head on over to the Maniacal Inc Twitch channel and give me a follow, and you might end up working in one of the refineries before you leave, because there's absolutely no food. Thank you very much for joining me on this episode, and I hope to see you again in space.